I never ever questioned that I could ever not be whatever I wanted to be, you know, until I hit psychiatry, you know, and they started like enumerating all the things that I could not do. And I believed them because they were doctors.
You know, the doc comes in and says you are such and such.
They just dehumanize people. So.
It doesn't say you're a person. You know, you're a patient.
I think there's a sense of hopelessness that comes when you are told that that you have to accept things as they are, and you can never be able to work again. You're mistreated. You're broken down into be a patient instead of a person. And I know best, and just sit here and let me do the stuff to you or for you.
I come in and my name is Lester Cook, and I'm no longer Lester Cook. I'm mental patient Lester Cook.
When Mary tries to help them, the system says, nope, you're not a helper, you're a client.
I just felt like I'd taken an elevator ride all the way to the sub-basement.
I used to feel that I'm not human. Now, the public treat me, I'm not human, Why should I act human? If I didn't act human,
And it's quite the fall from grace.
I had to do research about this mental thing I got. And where did it come from?
You got diagnosed in prison?
I got diagnosed pretty much in prison. They know I had the symptoms as a child. I didn't know. My parents, my father and his father, when I was a kid, watch how they live. They live kind of quiet and solitary themselves. I figured, well, that's me today. And they live. I didn't know that would cause, mental issues later on down the line. It goes deep to slavery. All the way to slavery. About that higher power. There were songs about Christ and God coming over here. Being whipped and worked, abused, lynched, burnt. They were praising God. That's in me. It's real. They may think it's delusional. Delusional thinking or talking or any of his medication. I kind of bucked the system. I still do a little bit because I bring up, God. Any of his medication, he gave me advice, kind of down with the G.O.D. Let it be known he's still there. And he had to stay. Because I went and confirmed it. He went to say, listen to him. Just tone me down. Because they think you're kind of really on fire. You don't want to be in a straitjacket because of my name.
Pinch your skin and make it as tight as you can. Hold your forehead to keep the electrodes on. And that is horrifying. Horrifying.
Nobody asked me, did I want to sacrifice my son on the altar of corporate greed and pharmaceutical bullshit. And nobody asked him either.
So I was taken there 2 months before my 7th birthday and given 20 shock treatments.
Well, we're opposing all electroshock, and medical use of electroshock by licensed people is, it's like women's genital mutilation. Female genital mutilation is just plain wrong. It was in solitary confinement, and they had the mesh screen over the window, and totally isolated. It's almost as if it's done purposely to make you feel worse, you know.
Well, terror to me is when I'm like running down a hall in a mental institution, those, shiny polished linoleum floors, and there's lots of doors on either side where the patients live, and the door at the end of the room is the seclusion room, and I'm like in so much terror that I'm screaming and running because of what's happening in my psyche, and that, to me, that's a description of terror.
I think seclusion is torture.
Seclusion is just an euphemism for solitary confinement.
I think solitary confinement is a form of torture.
Absolutely. If you lock people in a room, it's really torture. It's literally torture.
Solitary for me.
Solitary confinement can cause brain damage too. So we have to jump into the prison justice issue, or else we've really abdicated the whole thing.
It will make you cry, man. It make you bow down, because you can't do nothing about it, man. You try, they gonna beat you down, dope you up more, give you more meds. Straight jacket.
So I'm on a back ward strapped to the bed in a straitjacket.
One time I was faced with a straitjacket, and that is definitely torture.
They should ban any form of it. Restraining and all that.
Imagine being held down by your arms and your feet, and someone's got their knee in your back, and you can barely breathe.
It's been a week in seclusion and restraints.
Actually being held down by 5 or 6 people, and this guy's face is right by me.
And this whole thing is being done at a point that they have control over you, which you cannot resist.
Seclusion and restraint is the most inhuman thing you can do to a person, and the fact that people often who do it get brainwashed and get a sense of satisfaction or a sense of accomplishment for doing it is just disgusting.
They kept telling me, you gotta take this for it to kick in. You gotta take at least a year for this stuff to kick in.
Yeah. Diabetes instead of tardive dyskinesia. And let me get that too.
And the side effects, you can lose 20 years of your life. You say, well, that is bullshit. I'm going to war over it. I mean, this thing should be as strong as the civil rights movement.
I perceive just like any other liberation movement, the gay movement, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, all these movements, and we were just one more liberation movement that people took seriously.
When I actually have used the term psychiatric survivor for a long time, and when I was 50, I'm 57 now, I got a tattoo that says psychiatric survivor on it, and because I was a dog and pony show, and this was very threatening to people use this term in a way that means that they've left the system. But when I say it, it just means I'm a psychiatric patient and I'm still alive.
It's the power to speak out. I'm no longer going to be a quiet, compliant consumer taking my medications and talking about how helpful the system is. Because that's no longer true for me. It was true for me at one time, but it's no longer true for me.
And some people, oh, everybody writes this, writes that. Yeah, you know what? If you ain't been robbed of yours, it's pretty easy, convenient to say it like that. But I've been robbed.
Be violated is it don't feel good, especially if you know you're being violated, your rights. I tried it, I was hooked. And when I say hooked, I was hooked on prayer. I was hooked on something higher. Because I felt it in me. I said, wait a minute, inside of me. That's medication not doing. It's like a high that I can't explain. Kind of threw me a rope into this sea of madness. Rope to let me know that, wait a minute, there's a different route. If I can help that next person who's going through the same thing with me, like myself, especially a black man on that perspective. As a black man, if I can reach him, man, see, wait a minute, there is a chance, there's hope.